welcome to the webinar. Today's topic is on learning the essentials of asset management in Service Desk Plus. My name is Charles Ignatius. I'm a product expert from ManageEngine, and I have over 7 years of experience in handling ManageEngine's ITSM suite. Today's agenda is on the asset module, so we'll be discussing about inventorying the assets. There are different scanning methodologies that are available in Service Desk to identify and scan the different types of assets used in each and every organization. So we'll be discussing about that in detail. Also, we'll be discussing about asset lifecycle management from the day the asset reaches the organization to the day it has been disposed from the organization. We'll be discussing about the entire process. We will also be talking about software asset management and license management, and we'll be discussing about contracts, about managing contracts with the vendors, as it is one of the basic or the important functionality of an IT asset. And we'll be finally discussing about the reporting functionalities that are available in Service Desk, and we'll be concluding the session. So let's get started. Scanning methodology. So there are a diversity of assets that is being used in each and every organization. The majority is obviously going to be dominated by Windows. So for Windows workstations, we have a scan agent. The scan agent can be downloaded from the admin tab, Windows agent configuration, and here you'll be able to download the agent for your Windows workstations and servers. There is a configure option over here, which lets you configure on which port the agent has to be running on each and every PCs and servers. So if there are any other port that you would like to use for this particular service to run on the computers, you can go ahead and change it here and create a new agent and deploy that. Also, the option that says scan a system startup will enable the agent to scan the PCs whenever they reboot and send the scanned data to the Service Desk Plus application. You can deploy this agent through group policy. I'm sure that many joined in this session will be a domain network. So in that case, you can make use of the Active Directory group policy and deploy the agent on all the workstations and servers. The steps to install the agent via a group policy is available over here. Here we have provided the link to download the agent as well as the script that is required to start the installation, and every procedure is available over here. Also, you can make use of the PSExec utility to deploy the agent on your machines, and the steps and the download link for the PS tool is available over here. Also, if you are practicing the imaging process, like when a new computer is reaching the organization, and if you are going to apply the image that you've already taken off from a particular master computer, in that scenario, you can install the agent on the master computer and follow the simple process, and then take an image and deploy that new image on the new computers that are reaching the organization. So in that case, automatically, when new computers enter the network, they will have the agent installed, and the scanned information or the inventory information of those machines will reach Service Desk Plus. Okay, now let's go ahead and discuss about the non-Windows workstations. So before I go ahead and talk about non-Windows workstations, let me talk about the credential library functionality that we have over here. I'm sure that every organization is going to have a set of credentials for managing the assets, managing the routers, printers, etc. So you can have or add all those credentials in this credential library section, and it can be used for the scanning purposes. Under the credential type, you have different types of protocols we use for the scanning purposes over here in Service Desk. So for non-Windows, we normally use the Telnet or the SSH credential. So the Telnet, if you choose Telnet or SSH credential, you'll be able to provide the username and password, and you can go ahead and start the scanning. This Telnet or SSH method can be used for any workstation, Unix workstation for servers, such as Linux, AIX, Mac, HP UX, or any type of Unix operating system workstations on servers can be scanned using this method. Also, we have scripts available for this particular purposes. We have scripts for Windows, Linux, Mac, and HP UX. So for Linux, Mac, and HP UX, you can download the script from here and configure this in the cron tab so that automatically those workstations will be scanned, or the script will be executed automatically on a particular day and a particular time, and the data will be sent across to the service desk server, and that will be processed. And the next option available over here is VMware. So we support scanning VMware ESX and ESXi workstation VM devices. So in that case, you can provide the very same credential you enter on your vSphere client to manage the VMs, and this credential will be used for scanning your VM devices. And remote control. So I'm sure your technicians will be accessing your requester's computer and to perform any troubleshooting that is required. So in that case, assume if they do not have administrator privilege. So they need administrator privilege, right? So you can add a credential over here with such a privilege, and it can be used while connecting remotely. And for network devices like printers, routers, switches, firewall devices, we scan them through SNMP protocol. So we support all SNMP versions, version 1, version 2, and version 3. So you can use any version that is recommended in your organization to scan such devices. So at the moment, I have added a list of credentials. Now I'm going to use this credential under network scan. Network scan is the area which can be used to scan your non-Windows and other types of assets present in an organization. So let me edit a particular network. And as you can see, I have added the different credentials over here for Linux. If there is another credential available for Linux, I can just click on the plus symbol. I can choose the credential over here. So once these options are added, I can click on save and scan now, and this is going to trigger scan, and it's going to identify all the workstations in my network. So now that the workstations are identified, you can also make use of the audit settings. Let's say you have inventoried all the assets that are present in your organization, and but at any point of time, as for management purpose, you should have the latest information that are available on the assets to be present in a tool like Service Desk. So in that scenario, you can make use of the audit setting functionality, where you can enable schedule scan. Schedule scan can be configured to run on a daily basis, weekly basis, monthly, or on a periodic basis, so that it scans all the assets that are available in the database already, and it's going to have those data updated in Service Desk. And the next option is distributed asset scan. I'm sure many organizations these days have different locations, different offices in various locations of the globe. So it is not a feasible solution to have a separate asset management software on every locations available. So let's assume if you have the main office is located in London, and there is an office in Dubai, and there is an office in in Germany. So having a separate asset management process and procedure and a separate tool on each of this location is going to cause an issue, or will not be able to provide you an accurate result. Instead, what you can do is, using Service Desk Plus, you can install a probe setup of the application. So this probe setup is going to look something like this. And here, you'll be able to configure the central server details under the distributed asset scan. The central server detail is nothing but the Service Desk server information. So once you have provided all these details, you can go ahead and schedule when the synchronization has to happen. So automatically, on that particular time and moment, the synchronization from the probe setup will be sent across to the main server. So from one single console on one single window, you'll be able to manage all your assets from all your locations that are available. And more, in cases where if you are using a different asset patch management software such as Microsoft System Center configuration, in that scenario, you already will have an agent installed, the Microsoft SCCM agent installed. So it's not a recommended option to install multiple agents on your workstations, which is going to slow them down during their boot up and during their shutdown process. So in that scenario, what we have done is we have provided the SCCM connector for Service Desk Plus. This connector can be downloaded from the resources.manageengine.com website, where we have provided the steps to configure this standalone tool. This standalone tool is nothing but it connects to the SCCM database, and gathers all the workstation server information from the SCCM database, and it's going to post that information into Service Desk Plus. So in such a scenario, if you are using SCCM also in your network, you need not install Service Desk Agent. You can just use the SCCM to do the scanning part and send the data to Service Desk and do all the management activity using Service Desk Plus. The next option we are going to look into is the barcode scan. So we have introduced barcode functionality in Service Desk Plus. So through barcode functionality, you can inventory all the new assets that are reaching the organization. So there are three different methods over here. The first method, you can just point your mouse cursor, and identify or scan all those new assets, or scan the barcode of the new assets, and automatically that gets added over here, and you can choose the product type and product and add those assets to the application. So the type of scanner we support is keyboard event-driven barcode scanner. So any scanner which prints the barcode information in plain text can be used along with Service Desk Plus. So you can just point your mouse cursor and scan all the different devices available or that has arrived into the network or arrived into the organization and add them to the application. The next option available is you can create your own barcodes. So you can go ahead and create your own barcode by providing the prefix and suffix information, and this barcode can be generated, and also you can print barcodes from Service Desk Plus. So these two methods are for the new assets that are coming in, new assets that are getting added into the network. For the existing assets, you can make use of the third option, wherein you can again choose the product type, workstation or router or whatever, and you can provide the prefix and suffix information, and you can generate the barcode and associate to the assets. Or otherwise, you can use the existing asset data such as asset tag or serial number and update the barcode information using any of these values. Now that we have discussed about inventorying the assets, bringing them into Service Desk Plus, let's go here and discuss about the lifecycle management. So when an asset is first identified, its state is going to be saying as in store. So let me choose an asset which is in in-store status. So this one. So the state is going to be showing up as in-store, which means it is available in the shelves, it's available to be distributed to the users for the usage. So you can change its state to in use, and when you do that, Service Desk is going to provide you options to assign user to this workstation or assign a department and site to this workstation. Also, you will be able to configure if the asset is leased, you can enable this option and provide the from and the to period. And this option can be used for a different scenario as well. Let's say there are vendors or third-party vendors coming into the organization for training purpose or to troubleshooting purpose or any such matter. Obviously, from the IT team, we are going to provide a workstation to them, a laptop to them. So in that scenario, you can enable this option, provide the from and the to address, like when they are going to be available in the office. Are they going to be staying in the office for a month or a 2-month period? So you can enter all those informations here along with the comment and save. So automatically, when the lease period is about to get expired, Service Desk has the option to notify technicians and specific email addresses. So you can go to admin and notification rules under the purchase and contract module. So here you have different notifications available. So notify the technicians and asset owners when the lease period of the asset expires. So you can enable this option, choose which are all the technicians who has to be notified, when they have to be notified, and if there are any specific email addresses, like the vendor's email address itself, you can enter that here and Service Desk is going to notify them. Also, you'll be able to import the warranty information of the assets using a CSV file. So under the workstation, you can make use of the import from CSV option, and you can update the warranty information of the assets. So once the warranty information of the assets are updated, as and when they are about to expire, Service Desk has the option to notify the technicians or particular email addresses about the expiry process. And the next thing we are going to talk about now is, now that we have inventoried all the assets, now that we have brought in all the types of assets that are available in the network into Service Desk Plus. Now we'll have to manage them by assigning those assets to users. So when they are in-store status, it's not an easy option to go ahead and click on each and every asset and assign that to users. So in that scenario, what you can do is you can do a bulk assigning of the assets to the end users by clicking on Auto Assigned Workstation. When you click on Auto Assigned Workstation, Service Desk is going to fetch all the in-store assets, and along with that, it's also going to show you the suggested owner. The suggested owner is nothing but the last logged in user of those workstations, on those workstations. So you can just go ahead and click on Assign Owner, and it will be automatically assigned to that particular person. So at the moment, I do not have any suggested owner available in my setup. It's because I do not have most of the information are manually populated over here on this Service Desk Plus installation, so I do not have a proper one. Otherwise, if you have scanned through Agent, the information, the last logged in user information will be available, and you can make use of auto assign functionality, and you can identify, or you can assign the workstations to the users. So the next thing we are going to discuss about is the financials that can be managed using Service Desk Plus. Under each and every workstation details section, there is financials tab available. So you can update this information through a CSV tab as well. So what I would suggest is you can add the purchase cost of the asset, the operation cost of the asset, as well as you'll be able to configure the depreciation of this particular model over here. So when you do so, at any point of time, you'll be able to identify whether the operation cost and the purchase cost, whether the operation cost is going more than the purchase cost, or if the asset is not performing properly, or is it time to dispose the asset, and all those informations can be decided if you have a proper cost factor added in over here. So let me go ahead and add a purchase cost for this particular workstation. So I bought it on March 1st, and purchase cost, and let's say this is 1,000. I bought it for $1,000. So this gets updated over here. Now, whenever there is a service being done on this particular workstation, whenever a vendor comes in, fixes any problem on this server, on this model, on this workstation, that can be added as an operational cost or a service cost. And that information again gets added over here. So you will be able to, so whenever there is a service cost added, it gets added and gets accumulated. And at any point of time, you'll be able to identify how much as a team from the IT, how much as an IT team you have spent on this particular asset, and based on that, you'll be able to take the required actions. And you'll also be able to configure depreciation. So to configure depreciation, you can go to Admin and choose the product. Say, for example, at the moment, I'm going to choose HVMW model. So all the different models will be listed over here in the product section. So you can choose the model, and I'm going to configure a depreciation method. So these are the 4 depreciation methods that we support in Service Desk Plus. So let me choose the first option here. So useful life, it's going to be for 5 years, let's say, and salvage value, it's, let's say, it's $100. So once this has been configured, and if there are any workstation with HVMW, automatically the depreciation will be calculated for those missions. So just give me a minute. Let me go ahead and find a mission here. All right, here it is. So under the Financials tab, let me go ahead and configure the depreciation. The purchase cost is, let's say this is $1,000. Acquisition date, you will have to provide the acquisition date. And since for this particular model already depreciation has been configured, you can choose the very same thing, and you can just go ahead and click on save, and automatically Service Desk is going to calculate the current value of the asset. The current book value will be available over here. So these informations will be useful for you during your decision making times on these assets. And under the assets section, there are different options on the left side column, as you can see. The IT assets are going to be the ones that are going to consume node license that you buy from ManageEngine. So Non-IT assets and asset components are those that does not consume a license. So you can make use of the non-IT and the asset component sections. Like say, for example, if you have hard drives in place, or if you have projectors or scanners, you can add them under the non-IT asset by performing a CSV import, and you can still go in and manage those assets by assigning it to a department or assigning it to a user or associating that to an asset, and you'll be able to better manage those assets. So under admin tab, you can go to product type, and under the product type section, you can click on new product type. Let's say I'm going to add a TV screen. All right, so it's a non-IT asset that is going to be used to show the statistics of the teams. So it's a non-IT asset. So when I choose non-IT, it's going to automatically show up for me under the non-IT section. So any number of assets that I add to the TV screen product type is not going to take up any license for me. And groups is a functionality where you'll be able to configure filters and service test plus for the assets. So when you click on new group, there are two different options. One is static group, wherein you'll have to pick the assets, assets manually, and the other is dynamic group. So let me say there is a process, or there is a project coming up wherein all the servers that are running with 10 GB and less than 10 GB of RAM is going to be upgraded to something more than 20 GB of RAM. So if you want to identify those servers which are having less than 10 GB of RAM, you can create a dynamic group over here. So I can go ahead and create the dynamic group. You can still go ahead and run reports, but this is going to be a little handy for you. So under the Access tab, immediately you can click on this option and generate the information that you're looking for. So RAM is less than, so I'll have to provide the information in MB. So let me just say 10,000. It's going to show me the list of servers I have which are having less than 10 GB of RAM. So based on this, at any point of time, you can come here, click on this option and find the list of servers or whatever kind of filter that you're creating, and you'll be able to take the actions accordingly. So moving on, we are going to discuss about the software asset management section now. So though it's kind of complex, it is very vital these days to manage the softwares in an effective way and to stay compliant, as there are a number of audits increasing on a day-to-day basis. So why do I say it is so complex? Yes, let's assume that your organization is providing complete administrative privilege for the users on their laptops. So then what happens? Inside the network, you may have an option to restrict the download and restrict the installation, but what happens when they take the laptops home? They install all sorts of software, and finally, IT team is in a mess in identifying the list of softwares installed, in identifying or procuring licenses for them. So it becomes a complete mess. So in that scenario, what I would say is, at the moment, immediately you'll not be able to start and manage all the software information accurately in the application. But what I would suggest is you can at least start with top 10 frequently auditing companies, software manufacturers. So those informations are available in the internet very easily. So you can identify those vendors, and if you are using software from those vendors, you can at least go in and configure, add proper licenses in the application, configure the software and associate the software with those licenses, and check whether you're compliant for those softwares at least. So when a software is first identified, the state or the type of the software is going to stay as unidentified. So let me choose any from the list. Let me choose Zoho Assist. All right. So if I go ahead and change, so first and foremost, if I want to manage this, I'll have to change status to managed. And after I do that, I will have an option to see the number of installations, the licenses if there are any purchased, and also you will be able to configure site-based compliance. So you'll be able to see which site has more licenses, which site has less number of licenses, and which site is compliant, and details like that for each and every software and service. That's plus. So let me go here and add a license for the software. So you can go to Actions, Add Software License, or otherwise you can go to software licenses, and here you'll be able to import your software licenses from a CSV file. If you have if you have a repository of all the software licenses in an Excel sheet, you can convert that into a CSV file and you can import them, or otherwise you can add manually. So when I add manually, all right, so let me go to that very same, let me create a software license from here itself. So let me go to a add software license, standard license. So let's say this is an individual license that I'm purchasing, and so here you'll be able to purchase a license for a particular department. Along with the purchase cost, you can mention the details, or otherwise you can also buy this license for a particular site. So if there is a thing like you will not be able to use a particular license in Melbourne, whereas you can use a license only in London. So in that scenarios, you can buy site-based licenses and you can provide those informations here. Or otherwise, if it is an organization license that can be used across all the regions, all the locations that are available across the globe, you can choose organization license. So once you choose organization license, it will be available for you to associate it to the software. So now I can go ahead and under the license tab, I'll be seeing the new license which I've added. I can click on this option and associate the license. Thus it says I am compliant. So I can see the list of software I am compliant and the list of software I'm over and under licensed in the software summary section. Here, all the information will be available over here for me, and I can just click on the under license graph, and it's going to give me the list of software for which I am under licensed. And likewise, in the scanned software section, you'll be able to create or manage suite installations as well. So when we talk about suite, the more common suite software provider is going to be Adobe, right? So let me go ahead and create a suite installation for the Adobe software. So at the moment, I have 4 different software. I can first of all, I'll have to make it as a managed software, which I've already done here. So the type says managed. Let me configure it to a suite. So let me choose it as, I'll have to provide a name, and here it's going to give me the list of software that I have for this particular manufacturer. I can choose all from this list, and here I'll be able to make a rule saying if there are any particular workstation that is having at least one installation of this list of softwares, it has to be considered as a suite installation. So on making this particular rule, it's going to give me the list, or otherwise if I choose to manually choose the suite installations, I can also enable this option and fetch those details. So once the suite installation is added, you can go ahead and add a license as I did previously for the Zoho Assist software, and you'll be able to associate the license to the suite installation and check whether you're compliant or not. And the next software license that I would like to talk about is upgrade downgrade license. Though there are many number of software licenses that we support by default. Say, for example, there are multiple types of license types we support. So let me go to the admin tab and show you the different license types we support. So these are different license types we support. So if you want to add a new license type, you can click on Add New, choose the manufacturer, and whether you want to track it by workstation or whether you want to track it by user. You can enter that details over here, and license options can be added. And this new license type which you have added will be available for you under the software licenses section. So you can have as many number of software licenses that you would like to add, and you can use that to manage your new licenses. So under the software asset licenses, I was about to talk about the upgrade downgrade license functionality that we support in Service Desk Plus. So let me give you a scenario. When Windows 8 was released, later Microsoft released Windows 10. So Windows 10 is a free upgrade for all the Windows 8 and 8.1 users. So in that scenario, as an organization, you will be automatically or already having Windows 8 installed on the PCs with the license details updated and all those informations up to date. Now, when the new workstations are scanned or those upgraded workstations are scanned, the software operating system is going to show up as Windows 10, and it's going to show up that you are under licensed, are not compliant. So in that scenario, you can go ahead and add a new upgrade license. So when you add an upgrade license, you can choose the manufacturer. You're going to choose which software you're going to upgrade to, which is Windows 10 Pro, and the from software is Windows 8 Pro. Now, since I already have a license for Windows 8 Pro, I can choose the purchase license column and choose the license. If there is a new license key for the new Windows 10, you can enter it here, but normally that's not going to be the case. So you can just go ahead and click on Save. Now, this new license will be available for you. So when you go to the scan software and choose Windows 10, it's going to be available for you. You can go ahead and associate the licenses. So this is an upgrade license, as the arrow mark shows. So you can choose any workstation that you would like to and associate this license to those workstations. All right. So that being said, now let's go ahead and discuss about contracts. So as an IT manager or from the IT team, you will be dealing with a lot of vendors. Vendor to manage your routers, vendor to manage servers, vendor to manage a particular application and things like that. So IT team should also be on top of all these informations. Like they will have to frequently manage the contracts. They will have to know which contract has to be renewed when, which is about to expire, and details like that. So you can go ahead and add all those different types of contracts in Service Desk Plus. So if there are many, you can also import from an XLS file. So you can add a new contract here and choose the contract type. Contract type can be added as many as required. So under Admin tab, under the Purchase Contract Management, you have contract type. So you can add, if you want to add a new contract type, you can do so in this section. And in the contract type, you can choose the assets. It can be the hardware, or otherwise it can be software licenses as well. So let me choose software. And as you can see, the upgrade license that I have added, or the Zoho Assist license that I have added, let me choose this for now. So I can choose the from and the to period, and also the maintenance cost. Along with that, I can choose notifications to be sent out. I can enable notifications. Technicians can be notified, or otherwise you can enable, or you can provide email addresses in this column, and emails will be triggered automatically when the license period is about to get expired. And the very important thing is you'll be able to notify as many number of times as required. So you can go here and configure the number of days. Notify before column, as many number of notifications can be sent out as a part of the contract. So likewise, under the contracts tab, there are multiple filters available as well, like all the expired contracts will be available over here, those contracts that are going to expire in the next 30 days. So all these filters will help you to take the required action before even the contract is about to get expired. So now that we have discussed all these types of inventory and scanning purposes, now the important factor is reports. So Service Desk offers a huge amount of default reports in the application, so you can make use of them for managing purposes. So under the software, you get to know if you want to know the number of licenses you have purchased, the number of installations that are available in your organization, you can generate this report. Likewise, there are so many number of reports for workstations and servers, and CI history report is an option where if I go ahead and change any history or any information on a particular asset, let's say I'm going to choose ADAP and I'm going to edit this machine, and let me change this all right, virtual memory to 18 GB. So in that case, this information will be recorded under the history tab. So this recorded information can be taken as a report. So all these reports are available in the application as well. You can go in and create custom reports, and you can identify audit reports like how many, what are the changes made on the workstations, what are the changes made by timelines, and all this information will be available for you. Now that we have come to the end of this webinar, so let me give you an overview of what we discussed. We discussed about the inventorying process, about managing the assets, the location where the assets are present, like the department which is using the asset, the site which is using the asset. All those information can be tracked using Service Desk Plus. Also, the condition of the assets can be managed and monitored. So if there is any asset that is going to go out of space, or if there is a huge or a critical application server which is going to go out of space, or a database server go out of space, you can generate all those information as reports, and can be and those reports can be configured to be sent across your email automatically on a particular day, on a week, or on a month. So we also discussed about the cost factor. So the purchase cost, the operation cost, the current value of the asset can also be identified using the depreciation methods that are available that we support in Service Desk Plus. Also, the contracts that you have with your vendors, the different contracts, very important factor for IT managers. So they deal with contracts, they deal with vendors day in and day out. So all those details will be available for you and they can be, you can take required action on when it's about to expire, and details as such are available. So with that in place, let me introduce you to the next event that we are going to conduct on April 5th. It's a 12-hour session where our experts will be available. We'll be live in our forums, so you can ask your questions. If there are any issues, you can post that in the forums in that particular time. So we'll make a forum post in a community very soon. I hope it will be done by today. If once it has been made, you can register, and you can join in that session. You can post your questions, your requirements. If there are any script-based requirements, we have script masters available for the session. So all those questions will be answered on that particular day itself. So make use of that session, guys. And I would also like to introduce you to our community. Hope you are aware. This is the ManageEngine community. So we make the announcements. So if there are any announcements from ManageEngine, those announcements will be made here. Also, if there are any discussions that you want to start on using a particular feature or any issue you face, you can make use of the discussion section. Likewise, scripts, the custom triggers, feature, field and form rules, functionality. So all those scripts that can be used along with those modules will be posted here. So you can make use of the scripts as well. How-to videos, we are also working on a lot of how-to videos for Service Desk Plus. All those information will be posted here periodically, so you can make use of those how-to videos and get benefited out of that.